They say family is supposed to protect you. Mine tried to steal everything I built. 40 years of sweat, cement, and calloused hands, nearly signed away in one night, over a bourbon toast and a birthday cake. In America, we honor sacrifice, hard work, and legacy. That night, mine was on the line. What I did next shocked everyone in that room. And you won't believe what happened after. Before we continue, hit subscribe and drop a comment. Tell us where you're listening from. I was raising a glass when Emily's fingers latched onto my sleeve like a lifeline. Grandpa, now. We have to go. Please. Her eyes weren't dramatic. No teenage flair, no performance. They were flat with fear. That cut through the music, the chatter, the birthday candles glowing in the reflection of my son's new glass bar cart. I set my bourbon down. Emily, what's... Don't ask. Just trust me. 40 years of running Hartwell Builders taught me to read people faster than blueprints. Panic without theater means danger. I moved. I didn't make a scene. I didn't even take my coat from the hall tree. I followed my granddaughter through the side gate into the cool Oregon night, Cedar Ridge Lane lit by porch lamps and good intentions. Behind me, the party roared. Dad! Daniel's voice, my son, cut across the music, smooth as a radio host. Where are you going? We're just about to cut the cake. Cake could wait. Emily was shaking. I wrapped my arm around her shoulders, felt her heart racing through her sweater. We reached the curb. Get in my car, she said. I'll drive you 2 streets over, then call a rideshare. I slid into the passenger seat of her faded Civic. Music still thumped behind us. Daniel had promised me a simple family dinner. Nothing about what I'd just left looked simple. I don't need to know everything, I told her. Just enough to not be stupid. They're going to get you drunk, she whispered, hands white on the wheel. Then they'll take you upstairs and push papers at you. Not party stuff, legal stuff. A notary's in Mom's office. There's a lawyer waiting in the guest room. I heard them. They think you won't read, that you'll sign. My jaw clenched so tight, it was a miracle I didn't crack a molar. What papers? Something about transferring ownership, a temporary guardian agreement, and a management assignment for Hartwell Builders. They said the words, power of attorney, like it was a surprise gift. The Civic idled under the hemlocks on Laurel Court. She killed the lights. We sat in the hush. I didn't speak. 40 years of concrete and steel and payrolls and permits and winter bids had drilled one rule into me. Don't swing until your feet are planted. I looked at my granddaughter, eyes rimmed raw from holding in tears, and I saw the one piece of family I still trusted. Okay, I said. I'm leaving. You're going back. You say nothing. If they ask, you felt sick. That's all. She nodded. Grandpa, be careful. I built this life with careful, I said, and stepped out into the dark. I didn't look back at the house, didn't give the DJ or the rented string lights one extra second of my attention. A rideshare slid to the curb within minutes, the driver nodding when I said, Oakview Circle. As we turned, I finally looked in the mirror. My son's house, angular modern lines I hadn't built, glowed like a showroom. Somewhere in that glow, my son and his wife, Sophia, were waiting with their neat trick. They'd dressed it in stemware and ribeye and curated playlists, but fraud dressed up still stinks. I stared at my hands, calloused knuckles, cement scars, the hands of a man who'd laid foundation after foundation without shortcuts. Emily had pulled me off a cliff I didn't see, and as Laurel Court blurred into Oakview Circle, I decided something I'd been avoiding for 5 years. If Daniel wanted to run cons, he'd learn what it feels like when the truth runs faster. but I'm ahead of myself. Let me back you up exactly 1 week, to the moment the fuse lit. It was Tuesday. Light slanting through my shop windows, sawdust in the air, invoices in tidy stacks. Daniel didn't knock. He blew in like a storm, breathless and already talking. "Dad, this is it. I've got a syndicate in Scottsdale buying distressed boutique hotel assets. Guaranteed returns." Guaranteed. The word slithered across the workbench. I took off my readers and folded the month's binders closed. "Evening to you too," I said. "What do you need?" "50 from you. 50 from your line. The raise closes Friday. We'll triple inside 6 months." I opened the Hartwell file cabinet. I didn't argue. I didn't scold. I layered paper on the table like a dealer. Miami condos, $68,400 wired, developer absconded. Crypto rigs, $42,000 to a P.O. box in Nevada. Nothing ever shipped. The farm-to-table bistro, $27,500. Your partner's rap sheet was 3 pages long. The memorabilia flip? You bought fakes. He flushed. He always did when the receipts came out. You never believe in me. I believe in you enough to show you the math. No. He swallowed whatever speech he'd practiced. Walked. Slammed. Tires spit gravel on my drive. And when dawn cracked Wednesday, I found 4 roofing screws lodged into the sidewalls of my Accord, each placed to bleed air slowly, until the car basically sat on bone. I called him. He sounded sleepy and offended. "Kids messing around, Dad. Call your insurance." I called Derpitroe. I watched the tow truck work. I felt exactly nothing except the old familiar weight of disappointment settling in my chest like wet concrete. And then he called Thursday. Light voice. Easy charm. "Dad, it's my 40th. Dinner. 6 sharp. Family only. Emily's excited." I went. Because I'm still a father. Because my granddaughter asked. Because some part of you always keeps a chair at the table for your kid, even when he's set it on fire 5 times. That chair almost cost me a company. Emily dragged me out of that trap at the last second. Which brings us here, to me standing in my dark kitchen, East Ashbourne spread out in quiet streetlight outside, the smell of cedar coming through the screen. I poured coffee I didn't need. Set the mug down untouched. Took the old Hartwell ledger from the safe. And I made a decision. I would stop being a father for 1 week and be what I am best. An honest builder who knows how to demolish rot without taking down the whole house. You don't lose a family in 1 night. It's not a sinkhole. It's a hairline crack that runs under your feet while you stare at the paint on the walls. When Daniel was small, he followed me to job sites, strapped into a hard hat too big for his head. He'd run a hand across poured slabs, ask questions about rebar and radius. He wanted to build. Then high school ended, and somewhere between a business podcast and a lecture on other people's money, he decided success was leverage and story, not sweat. People think I dislike risk. I don't. I bid on winter schools in years when diesel prices made other crews curl up and wait for spring. I bought land when interest rates were ugly. Calculated risk is the spine of any business. What I hate is a magic trick dressed like a ledger. Daniel loved tricks. His resume wasn't experience, it was a graveyard. Condos, crypto, a bistro, even casinos. Every venture collapsed, and I kept footing the burial costs. Every check I wrote felt like tossing a rope to a drowning man, only to watch him pull others under with him. And me? I kept bailing him out, until I realized I wasn't saving my son. I was funding his downfall. I bailed him 3 times. The 4th time, I told him he'd learn more from the walk home. Sophia entered the picture 7 years ago. Brilliant, efficient, taste that could slice glass. She wasn't the reason for the first 3 failures, but she accelerated the rest. She wanted the life now. Marble now. Trips now. The stories got slicker when she coached him. Their Instagram outpaced their bank balance by a whole lifestyle. I want to be fair. She supported Emily's science fairs, volunteered at church, organized neighborhood block parties. But even kindness can be transactional if you measure it against optics. Sophia measured everything against optics. As the cracks spread, I tightened the bolts I could. I made Hartwell Builders hard to steal. We required 2 signatures for any transfer, mine and our controller's. We moved the company to a trust with specific language. If I was incapacitated, a board of 3, me, our controller, and my attorney of 30 years, Mel Parker, would control decisions. I thought I'd accounted for everything but my own blind spot. The part of me that wanted to believe my son wouldn't aim a scheme at me. Then Tuesday's blow-up happened, his syndicate pitch, ending with that slammed door and the skein of bad air between us. Wednesday morning, I was kneeling in the driveway, fingering a roofing screw in my sidewall. Not thrown, set. 1 each. Same angle. If you want to know why I didn't confront him then, here's the truth. I needed to know I was right. In construction, we verify. Measure twice, cut once. In family, that instinct has saved me more than once. The next morning, I walked outside and froze. All 4 tires, flat. Not random. Each punctured with the same roofing screws I keep in my own workshop. That's when I knew. This wasn't bad luck. This was sabotage. By my own son. And yet, I had no clue the real trap was waiting just 3 days later, disguised as his birthday party. Because of Emily. Because even when a house lists, you shore up the rooms where people still live. The party wasn't family dinner, it was theater. A marble coffee table I hadn't seen before, bourbon bottles lined up like trophies, and even a magician, because nothing says casual family night like card tricks under rented heaters. "Dad!" Daniel hugged me too hard, like a man relieved his mark walked through the door. "You made it!" Sophia glided in, perfumed, lipstick precise. "Richard, you look wonderful. Come let me pour you our friend's small batch rye. It's oak-kissed," he says. I smiled. I didn't drink it. I let it warm my hand for a minute, then set it on the bookshelf. I walked through rooms I'd helped paint when they first moved in, now washed in that curated glow of money, trying to look effortless. Their friends asked about business, genuinely curious, maybe, or maybe in on the show. I answered anyway. I told stories that felt good in the telling. The winter we poured foundation in freezing rain. The summer a barn lift went wrong and a community pulled together with ropes and sweat to save the crew. Real things. Things you can stand on. Sophia refilled glasses faster than thirst. Daniel kept checking his watch. "Dad," he said finally, voice pitched too casual, "I want to show you the master suite renovation. We took your advice on the recessed lighting." "I didn't give you advice," I said. He laughed like that was a dad joke. Sophia's hand landed lightly on my forearm. "Just 5 minutes, Richard. You'll love the fixtures." That's when Emily's fingers found me. The next minutes moved like they were tied to a winch. I was in the car. I was on Laurel Court. I was in my kitchen. I made coffee because it gives my hands something to do. I spread the Hartwell ledger beside the sink. I phoned Mel, my attorney, and left a message I never figured I'd have to leave. We may have trouble. In my head, part of me could still hear Daniel when he was 8, outside under summer, building a fort from scrap, hollering for me to come look. I went and looked. I always did. That boy is a man now. He built something else tonight. I didn't go look. I didn't need to. I knew what I'd find. I poured the coffee down the drain, grabbed a legal pad, and made 3 columns: documentation, people, sequence. When rot spreads behind drywall, you don't cry about the paint color. You pull it all out, clean to the studs, and you rebuild. I wrote the first line at the top like a contractor writes his scope. I will answer deceit with truth. Only truth. I will not lie. I will not smear. I will not rescue. Then I went to work. You want the party play-by-play? Here's how cons built on family work. They don't look like shady motels and duffel bags. They look like birthdays and toast speeches, and an extra pour you didn't ask for. Sophia had set the stage with theater-level care. At 7 sharp, she dimmed the living room to that flattering shade where everyone looks 10 years younger. A florist's cascade of white tulips drowned the dining table. In the kitchen, a caterer seared steaks with that quick flash of fire that makes people ooh at their own food. In the den, a football game nobody watched ran on mute, the illusion of casual. In the middle of the table sat a glowing birthday cake, candles flickering. But upstairs, hidden behind that celebration, were piles of legal documents, waiting for my drunk signature. I made my own theater. I rotated drinks, rye, water in a rocks glass, ginger ale, sparkling water with a lime wedge. Nobody noticed. Why would they? I'm the dad. Dads at parties are background instruments. As far as they were concerned, I was there to nod and tell construction stories while the real performance set up upstairs. At 8:20, the notary arrived. She didn't come through the front door. She came through the side gate with a leather portfolio. Sophia's friend Mariah intercepted her. They disappeared into the hallway. Minutes later, a man in a gray suit whispered one word at the stairs. Execute. One word, and I knew the play. Emily didn't need to tell me after the fact. I saw it in real time. I just didn't have the shape yet. I had the edges. Daniel called a toast at 8:30. He raised a glass, told a story about me teaching him to swing a hammer at age 6, looked at me with something like love, maybe memory, maybe guilt. People clinked. I lifted my water. The rim tapped sounds human no matter what's in it. Sophia touched my elbow at 8:37. 5 minutes, Richard. We want your opinion on grout. Grout is grout, I said, and smiled. When Emily dragged me out at 8:41, nobody at the bar or the entry table or the photo booth thought anything of it. Teen girls tug grandparents around at parties all the time. That's why family schemes work. They hide in normal. Back home, after the adrenaline shook out of my hands, I did the thing any builder does when a site is compromised. I called my crew. My crew in this case was 3 people: Mel, my attorney, Paula, our controller, and Teddy Crenshaw, who owes me more than one favor from a slab pour in '09 and now does tech security for half the small businesses in Ashbourne. Mel called back first. You okay? He said. No hello. I'm sober and angry. Good. Anger focuses. What happened? I gave him the clean version. He swore in a way only men with cufflinks can swear. They were aiming to get you to sign a durable POA and a management assignment. I saw Sophia at a banking luncheon last month chewing a notary's ear about elder signatures and capacity. That wasn't networking. That was reconnaissance. Can they do damage without my signature? I asked. Not if your documents are as we drafted, but it'll be messy. Let's make it neat. Neat, in Mel speak, means we stop wishing everyone were nicer and we start fortifying. He told me to text Paula to flag any attempted wire requests or vendor changes. Use the phrase temporary internal audit if anyone asks. People behave around audits. I texted Paula. She replied in 30 seconds. On it. Also, Sophia called last week asking how we handle emergency authorizations. Said Daniel was worried about you having a heart attack at a site. I told her nothing she can use, but she's sniffing. That clipped something inside me. Sophia had been casing my life like a house. Not romantic scheming. Professional. Teddy, my tech guy, texted a link. Install this. It's a burner recording app. If anyone shows up and tries to corner you, run it. Also, I pulled the public IP for Daniel's house cams. I can't access, but their notary booked through a scheduling app. She was at their house at 8:15 and again at 8:50. So yeah, you ducked it. The bones of the trap were stupidly simple. Intoxicate, isolate, sign. With the nice varnish of, we're helping Dad plan for the future. In a different life, maybe I would have signed. Not tonight. Not ever. I slept badly. 2 hours, then coffee with the dawn. When sun hit the Douglas firs behind my deck, I wrote 3 lines. Because builders don't fight chaos. We measure it. Protect what I've built. Answer lies with daylight. Build walls strong enough to stand, even if the wind doesn't. Paula locked down vendor changes. Mel drafted a memo. Any transfer requests now required a 72-hour vetting and board sign-off. Teddy tightened email filters and set digital traps, ready to torpedo any scam before it reached my desk. Confronting deceit with truth looked different. Truth isn't sexy. It's not viral. It's receipts. I pulled every file of Daniel's projects that had entangled other people. Friends he'd charmed. Acquaintances he'd pulled into the splash zone. I made copies, contracts, email promises, bank confirmations. I didn't add adjectives. I didn't underline. I just arranged events in order and let the dates do the talking. I sent 3 packages by courier to 3 people who deserved to know. Bill Hampton, who is a deacon and a developer, and loaned Daniel $25,000 on a handshake for the bistro. Tasha Ung, who co-signed the memorabilia loan because she'd dated him in college and still believed. And David Sloan, who chairs the Ashbourne Small Business Network and vouched for my kid at 2 lunches last spring. My letter said, "Information for your consideration regarding Daniel Hartwell's recent investment representations. Draw your own conclusions. No accusations, just light and air." For Sophia, I did something I'm not proud of but don't regret. I wrote to her employer's compliance department. Not a rant, a timeline. On Thursday evening, your employee, while acting in a personal capacity, engaged in a coordinated attempt to induce an elderly business owner to sign controlling documents under the influence of alcohol. I included the notary times Teddy found, the party invitation claiming family dinner, the subsequent texts from Daniel trying to lure me back the next day for a quick chat to clean up paperwork. Was it personal? Yes. Was it necessary? Absolutely. If you wear a badge that says you manage other people's money, your private schemes are not private. They are character. And character follows you into every room. At noon, I drove to Oakview Circle for the first time since the party. Mrs. Whitaker was pruning roses. "Richard," she said, throat tight with the secret she'd been holding for me. "You be careful." "I am," I said. "Do you mind writing what you saw?" "Just the basics. No editorializing. If this lands in court, truth needs paper," she wrote. In careful cursive. Date, time, what she observed. She signed it. I didn't promise her anything except that I would keep it safe. I stood at my workbench at 2 o'clock with a row of manila envelopes and realized something I should have realized a year ago. I'd been trying to save Daniel from consequences because I wanted to save my version of him. The boy in the hard hat. The kid with the fort. He's gone. The man at the party is who I have now. I can love him. I can also protect myself from him. At 4:30, after the couriers left, My phone lit up. "Dad," Daniel said, "I'm coming by. We need to clear the air." No, we didn't. But I decided to let him come anyway. Sometimes the only way to stop a lie is to let it run until it collapses under its own weight in front of you. He pulled up at 5 on the dot, a man who wanted to look punctual when what he really wanted was control. Sophia was with him. She hadn't let her lipstick smudge even an atom since the party. They came in my side door like they belonged, like Tuesday hadn't ever happened, like Thursday night was a misunderstanding we could laugh about over coffee. "Dad," Daniel said, arms out like a peacemaker, "we need to talk like adults." "I'm all for that," I said, and flipped my phone on the counter, screen down, voice recorder running. "Have a seat." Sophia didn't sit. She prowled, fingers grazing the edge of my oak table. Oak I'd sanded on my deck with Emily 2 summers ago while Sophia posted stories about Capri. "I'm not sure where you got the idea that we were going to—" "What?" "Trick you," Daniel said, voice hurt. "You hired a notary," I said. "There was a lawyer upstairs. You planned to isolate me. You overserved your guests for cover." He flinched at notary, not at overserved. "Interesting." "You're paranoid," Sophia said. "That's what happens to men who can't hand over the reins. Emily's filling your head. She's 18. She's dramatic." "Emily is the only adult in this family right now," I said. "The notary's scheduling app shows 2 visits. My neighbor watched Daniel vandalize my car Wednesday night." Sophia's eyes shifted, the smallest flicker. "We're family," Daniel said, as if that 3-syllable word were a master key. "You use that word like a crowbar," I said. "They threw every move in the book. Minimize. It was just to talk. Rationalize. We need a plan for if you get sick. Deflect. You've never trusted me. Guilt. Do you want us to fail?" I let them play their whole playlist. I sat with my hands folded, thinking about every roofline Hartwell Builders has framed, every permit pulled honestly, every crew member whose kids I've watched grow up. I thought about Emily, her hands shaking on the Civic's wheel. I thought about Mrs. Whitaker in her yard, writing carefully in that small, steady hand, because telling the truth still means something to her. When they ran out of tricks, I stood and laid the stack of manila folders on the table. "These are copies of your previous deals, Daniel. Every misrepresentation, every promise you made without collateral. I sent them to the people who needed to see them. No commentary, just events. You sabotaged me," he said, blank, like I'd announced gravity had been rude. "I told the truth," I said. "If truth sinks you, that's not sabotage. That's a mirror." Sophia went for a different angle. "Do you know what you've done to my career? My boss got an anonymous complaint. They're investigating me. Do you know what an investigation does to a woman in finance? Even if nothing sticks, the whisper does." "Yes," I said. "I know exactly what investigation feels like. It feels like accountability. It feels like everything you wanted to dodge." She took a breath that looked like a swallow of fire. "You're vindictive. I'm precise." We went around a few more times. They tried to pivot to apology, which was really negotiation. "We're sorry if you felt—" That sentence always ends with an ask. I didn't let it land. Daniel slammed the table. "You'd put your own son in jail?" I leaned forward. "No, Daniel. I'd put the man who slashed my tires in jail. My son is welcome back the day he learns respect." Sophia sneered. "We're family. You can't just cut us off." I stared right at her. "Family doesn't mean free access. It means respect. You forgot that." "Blood makes us relatives," I said. "Respect makes us family. You gave up the second part." Silence took the room. Not the kind where people think. The kind where they calculate new routes. You can't cut us off, Sophia said. Last Hail Mary. People see families. They talk. You'll look cruel. I've been looked at before, I said. Ask the union rep who tried to shake my crew down in '03. Ask the developer who lied about soil tests in '12. I don't fear being called names by liars. Daniel's face collapsed into the boy he was for a heartbeat. Dad, I just wanted a shot. I can do it if you'd just. If you'd just. The two words that have drained more parents' bank accounts than Ponzi ever did. I picked up the folders and tapped them into a neat line. You're capable of making something? I know because I watched you do it when you were 6. It didn't require a pitch deck. It required you showing up. They left because there was nothing else to do. The screen door slapped the frame behind them. The house exhaled. I stood at the sink and let the water run over my hands until sensation returned to my fingers. My phone buzzed. Teddy. Heads up. Your truth packets landed. Hampton called Sloan. Sloan posted a buyer beware in the small business board. It's factual. They're not using adjectives. You're clean. Paula. Sophia tried to add a temporary consultant to our vendor file this morning. Blocked. Mel. Compliance at Sophia's firm reached out for additional context. I sent dates. Nothing defamatory. Just another mirror. I didn't pour a drink. I made tea and sat on the back steps and watched the last light catch the tips of firs on Cedar Ridge. The yard looked like it always does. Weathered, honest, tidy, because I'm a man who likes things that way. Inside, my fridge hummed. Outside, a neighbor laughed. The mundane wrapped around the extraordinary reality that my son had tried to steal what I built, and I had just surgically removed his hands from the wheel. I don't tell you this to be triumphant. There's no triumph in cutting off blood. There is only relief and grief and the hard, flat surface of consequence. At 10, my phone lit up with Emily's name. Hey, kiddo. Are you okay? She said. They're not good. Mom's furious. Dad's quiet in a way that scares me. I'm okay. Are you safe? I'm staying with Aunt Claire tonight. Mom thinks I'm there to study. I am. Just not textbooks. I'm proud of you, I said, and meant it so hard my voice wobbled. You did the bravest thing a person can do. You told the truth when it cost you. Grandpa, she whispered, I thought I was going to throw up. But when I saw you pick up the glass for the toast, I couldn't. I can't lose you. You won't, I said. We're building something new now. Might not be the house we drew on paper, but it'll stand. People crave tidy endings. We package story like a housewarming gift. Bow on top, smile at the camera, tag the contractor. Real life leaves some studs exposed. That's okay. The best homes have access panels. You need to see the guts sometimes to do maintenance. In the week that followed, the wave rolled outward. Bill Hampton called to apologize for defending Daniel last spring. I told him he didn't owe me one. We're all marks when we want to be proud of our kids, I said. He chuckled, heavy as brick. We'll keep an eye on him, he said. Not to fund, to keep him from hurting people. The Small Business Network published a neutral due diligence checklist with no names. Everyone in Ashbourne knew why. I printed it, posted it in the Hartwell break room. We had a toolbox talk. If anyone uses my name to ask you for money or favors, say no and call me. Sophia's compliance department did what compliance departments do. They asked questions. If the version of her who met me at parties could answer them, she'd be fine. If the version of her who scheduled a notary and used birthdays as cover stood up in that room, she wouldn't. I didn't follow the case. I didn't need that in my bloodstream. My job is not to monitor consequences in rooms I don't control. My job is to live by the same standard I used on Thursday night. Say what's true. Do what's right. Accept the outcome. Daniel texted me twice. The first, "You ruined me." The second, a day later, "I'm sorry." I didn't respond to the first. I sent 3 sentences to the second. "I love you. I won't fund you. When you have a real job and 6 months of pay stubs, we'll have dinner." Tough? Maybe? Specific? Absolutely. Love without boundaries is a sugar high. Feels sweet. Wrecks your teeth. On Sunday, I drove Emily to the coast because the ocean is what you do when the world feels tight. We didn't talk for 30 miles. We ate fish and chips in the wind. She wore my old Hartwell hoodie because the marine layer has a mind of its own. On the way back, she said, "I recorded them, Grandpa, the night before the party. I shouldn't have. But I did." I gripped the wheel. "Is that safe?" "I didn't give it to anyone. I just needed proof I wasn't crazy." "Keep it. If anyone says we invented it, we won't argue. We'll have date stamps." She looked out the window. "Do you hate Dad?" "No," I said. "Hate is lazy. I'm disappointed. I'm angry. I'm grieving the kid who built forts with me. But I'm not handing hate the keys to my heart. That's one thing I'll never sign." She nodded like that answer was a post she could lean on. We drove home under a sky the color of pewter. On Monday, I did something new. Not a reaction. A construction. I sat with Mel and Paula, and we formed the Hartwell Foundation, a small scholarship for kids who choose trades over easy money. Not because college is bad, because we need people who know how to make things with their hands and sleep at night. I named the first award after Emily and Mrs. Whitaker. One dragged me out of a trap. One watched and told the truth. That's how communities survive long after parties end. Honest girls and porch lights. I also made a video for our crew. Not the public. Just us. I looked into the camera and said, "Here's what integrity sounds like. I will make mistakes, and I will say them out loud. I will not shame you for telling me the truth. We don't take shortcuts. We take the time it takes." If you're a parent in your 50s or 60s, and your gut hurts reading this, I get it. We were raised on loyalty. We think love means covering. Sometimes it does. It covers embarrassments, not felonies. It helps during storms, not during arson. If someone in your bloodline keeps bringing gas to your door, your duty is to the house everyone sleeps in. Close the door. Call the fire department if you have to. Love them at a distance that keeps your other people safe. Here's the straight version of what I learned. Trust, but verify. Love is not a substitute for receipts. Don't drink what you didn't pour. Control your glass. Control your choices. Paper saves lives. Wills, trusts, memos, they protect more than property. Teach the next generation the difference between loyalty and complicity. Emily proved that lesson matters. Answer deceit with daylight. Not rage, not rumor. Truth. It lasts longer. If you came for revenge, I'm sorry to disappoint you. There is no viral clip where I throw papers into Daniel's face and deliver a line so clean it makes the internet cheer. And light did what it always does to mold. It didn't argue, it didn't rage, it simply ended it. Quiet, final, unstoppable. I wish the story ended with my son calling me from a hard day on a job site, muscles sore, pride earned, asking for tips on rafters. It doesn't. Not yet. Maybe it will. If it does, it won't be because I greased the slope. It'll be because he grabbed a beam and lifted. Tonight, I'm sitting at my oak table, the one I built the year Emily was born. A mug of tea sweats a ring on cork. The shop is quiet. Compressors asleep. The house smells like lemon oil and sawdust. On the wall, a photograph. Me, 30 years ago, in a flannel shirt, holding a nail between my teeth, grinning at a camera someone loved me enough to pick up. I think about that guy sometimes. He took jobs he didn't know how to do and learned while the sun moved across the sky. He believed you can fix most broken things if you give your back to it and tell the truth. I still believe that. I am older, and I am, in some ways, less gentle. But I'm not hard. You cannot be hard and build a home people want to step into. You can be firm. You can be a door that locks without slamming. In the end, this was never just about contracts or signatures. It was about honor. About remembering that what we build with our hands and our hearts is worth protecting. Respect isn't given. It's earned. Family isn't blood alone. It's sacrifice, loyalty, and truth. And sometimes, the greatest act of love is setting boundaries strong enough to hold a house together. If my story leaves you with anything, let it be this. You are allowed to guard what you've built. You are allowed to say no without losing compassion. And you are allowed to believe that even after betrayal, there is still something worth building. Because in the end, we don't just build houses, we build legacies. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is close the wrong door, so the right ones stay standing. If that resonates with you, don't leave just yet. Subscribe to the channel, hit like, share this story with someone who needs it, and let me know in the comments where you're listening from. Together, we keep building.